Hi everybody, it's Gemma. Welcome back to Pampered Wolf. Today is my first day back from filming after a very busy, hectic Christmas. It's been rather fraught in the Pampered Wolf household. Over Christmas we have had a new piece of diabetes equipment for my son, so having to program that and getting used to that over Christmas. Not been the best time. However, I am back, I am here. All the videos that you saw over the Christmas period were pre-recorded and I've not responded to any of your comments within those videos. Having looked at the amount of comments that there are there, it is just not feasible for me to now go back and respond to all those comments. There is just not enough time in the world, and I like to respond to everything personally. I don't have a big team behind me that responds to all your comments. I do everything myself, so I've decided to draw a line under all the comments in all those videos. If you did ask me a really important question that you still want me to answer, please ask me again in this video and I will make sure that I respond to that in a timely fashion. But please accept my apologies with all the will in the world. There is no way I am getting through all those comments. Anyway, I had the worst night's sleep imaginable last night. Quite a lot of anxiety going off today as I've sent both my kids back to school to start a brand new term. And I just couldn't sleep last night. I've no idea. Usually I'm absolutely fine with things like this, but it was 4 o'clock before I even nodded off, and obviously had to get up this morning and get the kids sorted for school. So the video that I was going to film this morning, I've decided not to do. I was going to do a full face of all the best of 2019. I will now do that for Thursday's video. Today, I'm going to show you my new routine for covering up my under eye circles. This has changed a little bit since the previous videos that I've done on this subject. Obviously, you can still do it the way that I showed you in those videos as well. I do this on my mum on a regular occasion. We switch it up a bit with different products. So I am going to show you little bits that you can change here and there depending on the amount of makeup that you're going to be putting on your face. I already have foundation on. I get asked this question all the time. Do you do foundation or do you do concealer first? I do foundation first, but there is no right or wrong answer here. If you prefer to do concealer first, that's what you should do. There is no right and wrong in makeup. So let's get on with the products that I'm going to be using today. Now, sometimes I would use a colour corrector if my under eye circles are bad, like they are today. Other times I don't use a colour corrector at all. Concealer is absolutely fine and covers them up perfectly well, or at least enough. So today I am going to be using a colour corrector. This featured in my faves and fails, I think October time, maybe even September. I was a little bit unsure about this product. This is from Charlotte Tilbury and it's, I don't even know what this is called, but I think it's a magic eraser or something like that. The shade that I've gone for is light. It's a really, really nice peachy toned colour. The deeper your skin, the darker you have to go with a colour corrector. You are not going to get away with a really light peachy shade if you have a really deep skin tone. The other products that you could use here, my mum's favourite is the MAC Prep&Prime in Bright Forecast. Again, this comes in different shades as well. There's a pinky toned one, there's a very orange tone, there's a reddy tone. This one is a peachy tone. Really, really beautiful products. And if you are on a budget, believe me, this is an amazing product. This is by REVLON. This is the Photoready Eye Primer and Brightener. This is unbelievable, this product. I actually wore this to the ice hockey on Saturday night, took the kids to the ice hockey. I didn't wear any foundation whatsoever. I just dotted a little bit of this underneath my eyes. You cannot see it on the skin, but it wipes out all your under eye circles. Amazing, amazing product. And this one can be used on its own because it just blends into the skin. This one does not come in loads of different shades. So if you do have a really deep skin tone, this one probably isn't going to be for you. It's quite a pinky toned corrector. Let me just show you on one eye what this actually does. Just need a mirror. So this looks absolutely fantastic for a no makeup look, and I literally did the no makeup look. I just covered up my under eye circles. I whacked on some brows, one coat of mascara, and literally I was out of the door. I did not have time to do a full face of makeup for the ice hockey, so I just decided to go very, very natural. So as you can see, I've just dotted that in with a little brush. This one that I'm using now is the all over brush. It's the Heavenly Luxe Complexion Perfection number 7 brush from IT Cosmetics. This is the most amazing brush and you get double for your money. These are quite pricey, but they are excellent, excellent quality brushes. So highly recommend those, and you can put your foundation on with the brush on the other end. I tend not to, I do powder with this brush, but you can put foundation on with this as well. So as you can see, that just cancels out every single last bit of dark circle, and you could just walk out of the house like this. No problem. So this is an under eye corrector. It's also an eye primer, and it's also an illuminator. So if you are having your photograph taken, this will give a little bit of flashback. We're going to go on and I'm going to show you the Charlotte Tilbury corrector. And I literally just pop my finger in there, pick up a little bit of the product, show you that. My camera isn't playing today. And then just press that underneath the skin, or underneath the eye, underneath the skin, onto the skin, underneath the eye. You can tell I've had some time off, my brain's not functioning. Lack of sleep. So there you go, once you've done that, the under eye circle is done. So you can do with this what you can do with the REVLON, but the REVLON is obviously a lot more affordable. So if you are on a budget, I would say this is definitely the way to go. And even though I have both products, I did choose to use this one the other day. I am getting my money's worth out of this one now though. It does work, it's a nice product, it doesn't crease, but you need to make sure that you do pad that into the skin underneath the eye. Don't ever drag, because obviously you don't want to drag the skin underneath the eye, but just press that in and it will remove any excess product that you don't need underneath the eye if you carry on patting just for a minute. And there we go. So what I've been doing after that is, if I decide to wear a concealer on top of this, my favourite concealer at the moment is another affordable brand. This is also a cruelty-free brand as well. It's Revolution. This appeared in my best of 2019 video. If you haven't seen that already, I will link it up here for you to watch a little bit later on. This is the Revolution Conceal and Hydrate. Please don't get this mixed up with the Conceal and Define. The Conceal and Define is a lot more matte and it's a lot more drying underneath the skin. Another amazing product, very high coverage, but this one is far more hydrating. I've got the shade C2, which is quite a cool shade actually. They didn't have the shade that I'd gone for. I can't remember which shade I actually went for, but this works for me and I'm going to continue to use it. So I just put one dab underneath the eyes. Now, if you have quite a lot of fine lines and wrinkles underneath your eyes, I would advise that you pop this on the back of your hand and then apply it from the back of your hand underneath your eyes, just so that you don't get too much product underneath there. I know how much product I actually need now, and I tend to spread it out around my face if I've applied a little bit too much. So I'm going to take a damp blending sponge. I'm not going to pat this in with a brush, which is what I used to previously do. I find that with a damp blending sponge, you can actually remove any excess product and it just looks far smoother than if you apply with a brush. Nothing wrong with applying with a brush, but you can get too much product very, very quickly if you're not careful. So I prefer to use a damp blending sponge. I'm going to use the same one that I applied my foundation with. So I literally just pad that underneath the eye. I also go up to the inner corner where I do have quite a lot of blueness and discoloration. I think a lot of people have discoloration there, especially as you mature and get a little bit older, the discoloration and the veins start to poke through the skin just a little bit. So I'm dragging that down onto my cheek a little bit so that I haven't got too much product underneath the eye. Now, if you don't want to do this, and this gives quite a brightening effect underneath the eye and it makes your eyes look a little bigger, but if you don't want to do that, just add a little bit less product underneath the eye and possibly get a smaller sponge, because if you've got a smaller sponge you are going to be a little bit more accurate and it's not going to drag down onto the cheek area as easily. Just blending this one, and I'm going all the way up to the outer corner. As you can see, this is really brightening underneath my eye, and that is how I would leave it. So you can see on this side, this is the side that I use the Charlotte Tilbury. The Charlotte Tilbury product is better underneath the concealer than the Revlon is. The Revlon I wear when I'm just wearing a colour corrector on its own. So I would definitely recommend this, but maybe not for underneath a concealer. Because this has got reflective particles in it, you're covering up those reflective particles by adding a concealer over the top of it. So really it's not doing the job that it's designed to do if you're putting something over the top of it. This is a great product to use on its own though. So I'm going to set my concealer in place and I'm going to use 2 different powders to do that. Now you don't need to do this, but I want to show you the differences that I now do in my routine that I think really do benefit the way that my under eye concealer looks, or rather my under eye looks, because you don't want anybody to actually see the product. You just want them to be able to look past that and just see you. So I have been using 2 different products, and the reason being is because I have the Ambient Lighting Edit Palette in Ghost from Hourglass. If you have this, you will know it is quite pricey. And why not use it? I mean, you need to be getting your money's worth out of this palette if you've actually got it. If you don't have this, you do not need to go out and buy it just for this purpose. There will be something that you have in your collection already that will give you very, very similar effects. So I'm actually going to mix some of the finishing powders in the Ambient Lighting Edit Palette with a mattifying Hydra powder. Now the one that I'm going to be using today is from Revolution Pro. Oh, there I am, look, in the mirror of this product. Let me see if I can, that was quite clever. And I can't do it now. That was quite clever. You saw me and think, no, never mind. Anyway, this one is by Revolution Pro and it's the HydraMatte Translucent Setting Powder. It's a great, great setting powder just on its own. So you don't need to add anything else to this. But I like to give it a little bit of a life by adding a few of the shades in the Ambient Lighting Edit Palette. So I like to brush through all 3 shades on the top. You don't need to use the strobe shade at all if you don't want any sparkle underneath your eyes, but I do find that by using something a little bit like a highlighter, it really does diffuse the light underneath the eye, and it also reflects back from the skin, so you see the circles even less. So even though, as you can see here, my under eye circles aren't perfectly concealed, but once I go out in natural daylight, once I've got these products on, they will look absolutely amazing. Now before I add these products to my skin, because I've just been nattering on for just such a long time, my under eye concealer has started to crease, so I'm going to go back in with my blending sponge and just make sure that all those creases have gone and everything is smooth again. I'm going to take a small brush and I'm going to dip into the Hydra powder. This is the mattifying powder, and then once I've got that on my brush, I'm just going to then go across these shades here and then make my funny face and pat that underneath. Adding a mattifying powder underneath it and a very, very small amount will help conceal any fine lines or wrinkles. If you add too much of that mattifying powder, it will have the adverse effect. So make sure you are only applying the tiniest bit to your brush, knocking off the excess before you go. You can always apply a little bit more, but it's very, very difficult to take powder off once it's on. The reason I really like the Revolution Pro HydraMatte powder is because it's infused with hyaluronic acid, so it does help plump up the skin. It doesn't dry out the skin. Be warned though, I am going to be doing a little video on hyaluronic acid because I think a lot of people think it's the best thing ever, and for most people it is. But if you do live in a really arid, dry climate, it can actually suck the moisture out of your skin rather than putting moisture in your skin. So just be warned, if you do live in a really, really hot, dry country, this is not going to be the product for you. You don't really want to be using hyaluronic acid on your skin. So I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. Again, go in with my small brush into the HydraMatte powder, knock off the excess. Go back in to my Ghost palette, go across those colours, and then go in and set that in place. So that's basically it for this video. One tip that I will give you is work quite quickly. So do one eye and then set it in place and then do the other eye. I've obviously waffled on quite a lot today, so I had to go back in with my blending sponge and blend any creases out that had come because I had been chatting a little bit too much. Anyway, if you are quick, you are going to get much of a smoother finish underneath the eye that does not crease at all throughout the day. So you really do need to get that sponge in there and then set that in place almost immediately, and then you get the most beautiful smooth under eyes, and it will last all day without creasing if you use the right amount of product. So I'm going to leave this video here today. If you have enjoyed this video, if you've enjoyed Pampered Wolf in general, please do give this a really big thumbs up. And also don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. There is a watermark in this corner. If you click on it, it will take you through to my homepage where you can subscribe. I upload on Mondays and Thursdays at 8 PM London time, and I am also on Instagram. If you want to follow me on there, it's at Pampered Wolf, all lowercase, no spaces. I have been absent over the Christmas period quite a lot on Instagram, which usually I'm not. Normal service will resume, I do promise. Hope to see you all in the next video. Bye.